And Shane O'Farnan's still here with, well, you're here with us every day, all day. Shane, it's great to have you. But it's great to have you back on the air with us. You've got a couple more clips you wanted to share with us. You were telling us about how Roberts, during the oral arguments this morning, went off on about a 2-minute rant saying that there was this gay lobby that was...
There was some back and forth, but he did most of the talking, that's for sure. I don't know how much we need to play of it to get the gist of it, but here we go.
I'm more than pleased to hear the whole thing.
Here we go.
I suppose the sea change has a lot to do with the political force and effectiveness of people representing, supporting your side of the case?
I disagree with that, Mr. Chief Justice. I think the sea change has to do, just as was discussed in Bowers and Lawrence, with an understanding that there is no difference, there is no fundamental difference that could justify this kind of categorical discrimination between gay couples.
You don't doubt that the lobby supporting the enactment of same-sex marriage laws in different states is politically powerful, do you?
With respect to that categorization of the term for purposes of heightened scrutiny, I would, Your Honor. I don't.
Really?
Yes.
As far as I can tell, political figures are falling over themselves to endorse your side of the case.
The fact of the matter is, Mr. Chief Justice, is that no other group in recent history has been subjected to popular referenda to take away rights that have already been given or exclude those rights the way gay people have. And only 2 of those referenda have ever lost. One was in Arizona. It then passed a couple of years later. One was in Minnesota, where they already have a statute on the books that prohibits marriages between gay people. So I don't think, and until 1990, gay people were not allowed to enter this country. So I don't think that the political power of gay people today could possibly be seen within that framework, and certainly is analogous. I think gay people are far weaker than women were at the time of Frontiera.
Well, but you just referred to a sea change in people's understandings and values from 1996 when DOMA was enacted, and I'm just trying to see where that comes from, if not from the political effectiveness of groups on your side of the case.
To flip the language of the House report, Mr. Chief Justice, I think it comes from a moral understanding today that gay people are no different and that gay married couples' relationships are not significantly different than the relationships of straight married couples. I don't think that...
Well, I understand that. I'm just trying to see where that moral understanding came from, if not the political effectiveness of a particular group.
I think it came...
What did she say at that point? Where
I don't remember.
Okay, because my take on this is that it is not, the so-called gay lobby. It's not, wealthy gay donors and all that kind of thing. There certainly is, a fair amount of money in the gay community, and they do contribute to political things and whatnot. But I don't think that's that. I disagree with Justice Roberts. I agree with that woman that was speaking that
that was the attorney for Windsor.
Okay, that was the attorney for Windsor. That,
I believe.
What has happened, the sea change that has happened, it looks to me, now here I am, a straight old white guy, so, looking from the outside. Although, I have gay friends and gay family members and, and we certainly have discussed this, for 10 years on this radio program. But it looks to me like what has led the charge here is not that a bunch of gay people bought advertising or bought congressmen, did lobbying, but rather that average gay people, truck drivers and bus drivers and military people and even millionaires and people in the media, Anderson Cooper, that gay people who before 1996 went to great lengths to hide the fact that they were gay, and particularly at the higher levels of income and power, people who knew that they were gay collaborated in keeping it a secret. It was an open secret in this town, and frankly, it still is.
Sure.
Who are the members of Congress who are gay, who are not out, and people don't violate that. Okay, so that was always the case that there, and what has been happening since the mid '90s, what's been happening over the last generation, basically the last 20 years, is that through a probably very wrenching and painful process, at least initially, it's getting probably easier, but it still can't be easy. Mm-hmm. Gay people are coming out.
Yes.
And as they're coming out, their family members, their friends, their colleagues, their coworkers, their viewers on television, whatever it may be, are going, oh, well, he's not so different. Mm-hmm. She's not so odd.
And then that acceptance expands, and more people are
right.
feel more comfortable coming out. So it grows in that way. It's always been there. It's just the acceptance hasn't been.
It's the Jackie Robinson effect.
But I think what Roberts was trying to say is, remember, Barack Obama famously said he had a change of heart, that he evolved.
Right.
So he was kind of trying, I think, I can't read his mind, but was saying, the reason you evolved is because, as he said, political officials falling all over themselves to join your side because of money and lobbyists.
Well,
which is just really cynical.
I mean, yeah, it's cynical, and it's Roberts has this kind of conspiracy fueled view of the world, apparently. Sure. And which I think says probably a lot about Roberts.
Sure.
He lives in a world where there are pressure groups. There are the Koch brothers, and they have helped fund him and his buddies.
But then then Roberts can come out and say, I'm not closed-minded. I'm just not giving in to all those lobbying forces when I rule against DOMA.
Right.
When I rule to keep DOMA in place, I'm not getting pushed around by those lobbyists.
Right.
But I'm still a good guy. Don't dislike me for being a bigot.
Right.
Or whatever.
When Louise and I went to see Olympus Has Fallen over the weekend, this shoot 'em up movie. One of the previews was a preview for a new movie that's coming out. I think it's coming out this month, about Jackie Robinson. Mm-hmm. And what kind of hell that man went through.
Sure.
Being the first black man in Major League Baseball.
The first of anything.
And when I said the Jackie Robinson effect, I think that for the generation of white people in the 50s that Robinson, or the 60s? I don't know.
I think it may have been a little bit earlier, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, whenever it was. It happened before I was, when I was fairly young. I'd have to go back and look when Robinson first started playing. But when that happened, that was, I think, initially there was some backlash, just like when, well, to this day, I suppose, gays coming out produces backlash. But
1947.
1947, thank you. Because, my recollection of it is, my earliest recollection of it is that it was already, this was kind of
Brooklyn
a battle long fought long ago, yeah. That white people at that point, by the 50s and 60s, were starting to say, so what?
What's the big deal?
Yeah. And that's happening here. So, and you also had a clip of Justice Kennedy. This is
that's a swing vote. The swing vote on the Supreme Court, and this, I just wanted to give one example of where he pretty much said, "I don't know about this."
Right. The question is whether or not the federal government, under our federalism scheme, has the authority to regulate marriage.
And I will say that in other parts of the argument, he seemed to indicate no, they don't.
Right. Right. We can regulate it. We can't, the regulating of it would be up to the states. The federal government's job is to backstop the states. And if it does that, it has to do it under the 14th Amendment at the very least, equal protection. It has to do it in a way that's consistent with everybody.
Right.
So this is probably going to be a 5-4 decision.
That's a good guess.
If it gets decided on the merits.
Which I think I would say yes, it's going to be decided on the merits, which will still be they'll probably issue a ruling on the jurisdictional question, which will probably be another 5-4 or 6-3, and then a 5-4 striking down DOMA. Now,
I'm guessing Clarence Thomas didn't say a word.
Not a word in 2 days.
He's a man who is married to a woman who, and has been for 40 years, who 45 years ago could not have married that woman in the state in which they live in, Virginia, because she's white. And, Loving versus Virginia, that was the state.
Yep.
And did you get any sense from his facial expressions, his body language?
None.
He was just impassive.
He did speak today, but was only delivering a decision. So
that was early on.
Yeah, it was early on. It was it had nothing to do with this case.
Yeah.
So.
Did you get any sense from Alito or Breyer, where they stand on this?
Breyer's pretty predictable.
Yeah.
Alito Alito is one that you can't really decide based on his questions because he'll play devil's advocate.
Right.
He'll argue both sides. And a lot of times he's just quiet. Usually you can tell by the scowl on his face. I'll be honest with you that at the State of the Union, that's not a unique time for him to. Yeah, he uses that face a lot.
Do you realize, Shano, how this conversation that you and I are having right now, how similar this conversation probably is to a group of people 200, 300, 400 years ago sitting around having a conversation about, well, the king was meeting with his ministers today. Was he upset? Do we think he's going to go to, is he going to go to war with the Bismarck or not?
Was the king unamused? Not amused?
Yes.
Was he? Is someone going to lose their head over this?
We have a constitutional monarchy. I don't know if I've convinced you of this, but day by day, I am more and more convincing myself.
Essentially, today they're going to judicially repeal an act of Congress because the president doesn't like it and thinks it's unconstitutional.
Right, and they're complaining about it.
But they probably will do it.
Right, and I don't. This is this whole thing about judicial review.
There is a real separations of power issue here.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Let's pick up some phone calls here.
10 seconds to the music.
Oh, we just have 10 seconds to. Okay. Yeah. In that case, Pam, hang on. I'm going to put you back on hold. We'll pick up your call in a minute. So we'll see where this goes. I want to write a book on this whole judicial review thing. That we are. America is now a constitutional monarchy, and it wasn't designed that way. It's not in the Constitution. It wasn't what the founders had in mind. It really didn't even happen until the Civil War. Until just after the Civil War, really. And it largely happened in the 1870s and 1880s because the Supreme Court was corrupted, was literally bought out by the railroad barons, and here we are. Anyhow, 45 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back.